Hello and welcome back to the Tea and a Butty podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about where did iced tea originate from?
Yes, where did it?
Where did it? Where did it?
Where did it originate?
Where did it originate from?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting topic because I have absolutely no idea.
Well, actually, I was doing some research.
I mean, I assume
and you'll be all proud of me that I've done research. And I'm not just winging this one.
Yeah. I assume that it started over here just because...
Yes. Yeah.
British and or Europeans who drank hot tea moved over here where it was quite hot and were like, you know what? I want my tea, but it's way too hot outside.
I mean, it's funny because, you know, you'd think, I mean, when do you think that iced tea was invented? Shall we say, well, I mean, invented, but when are you gonna put it down to a year?
A year? Can I do like a decade?
Well, yeah, a decade. Yeah, a decade.
To get specific. I don't know. I think I want to say like 1700s, like a long time ago. I don't know, late 1700s sometime.
Yeah, that's when it was invented. Yeah.
Yeah.
Around 1795.
Okay.
Was like I'm getting this from revolutiontea.com.
So it was a little bit like... So because it was after the independence, right? It was after we... It was invented in America, you said?
In South Carolina. Well, South Carolina or something, you know.
Yeah, so it was like, okay,
that's where it was kind of started.
We got our independence. We're not drinking that hot tea those British people drink anymore.
It was the only colony in America producing tea plants, though, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was... And also the only colony, later state, to produce the plant commercially.
Oh, okay.
So it stands to reason that, you know, when it arrived there in the late 1700s, thanks to a French explorer and botanist, he brought, you know, it was like, you know, the wealthy Charleston plantation owners who were like, oh, yes, tea, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hot there all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like nobody wants to be drinking that hot stuff, you know. So, you know, it stands to reason that they were like, when they started figuring out how to create ice, that they were going to like, yeah, let's put ice.
Let's chill it or...
Let's chill it. Chill it with the chillins.
Yeah. It's so...
It's funny, though, because popular law has it being invented in 1904.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from the World's Fair. I think it was...
oh, that's interesting.
Let me look it up now. In St. Louis, the World's Fair in St. Louis in 1904, there was this British tea plantation owner and merchant, Richard Bleckenden, Bletchenden, maybe?
Yeah.
And he's said to have realised that an iced version of his free hot tea would be more appealing on a summer day, because, you know, people were coming and they were like, I don't want hot tea, it's too hot out here.
Yeah.
And so it was like by accident that he just decided, oh, we'll just put some ice in it and cool it down. And
okay.
And so people think, oh, well, that's when it was invented then. And it's like, sure, you know, it's like historians have figured out there's recipe books.
Oh.
That they were coming from like the 1795 in South Carolina. And there was like accounts of iced versions of tea began to appear almost immediately. Both English and American cookbooks show tea being iced to use in cold green tea punches. Okay. Because it was like these iced tea punches they used to make, you know, because it looked like a punch, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah.
And heavily spiked with alcohol.
But green
most of the
tea,
time.
You said.
Yeah, they put green tea in it. And then I guess they figured, oh, we could use this with black tea.
Yeah.
And they were putting alcohol in it too.
That sounds very weird. And
these punches were very popular and made with green tea, not black.
Yeah.
One popular version was called Regent's Punch, named after George IV, the English Prince Regent in the early 19th century. So, you know, that was kind of like where iced tea was kind of... And I'm sure people didn't put alcohol in it sometimes and were like, oh, it tastes fine.
Yeah.
Just put some sugar in and it'll be fine, you know?
Yeah. I wonder how it spread? Like, I wonder how the word got out, you know? It makes sense
yeah, I mean, from what the research shows here, that guy who was serving it in 1904 probably thought he was the first one to come up with it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that happens, doesn't it? You know, like, somebody else thinks that they
because that's when it got
something.
popular. That's when it, like, exploded commercially.
Well, a World's Fair. I mean, yeah.
People were like, oh, this iced tea that we sent, oh, we've got to start making this commercial, you know?
Yeah.
But in 1879, the first version, as we know it today, was printed. And it was with green tea, though. Housekeeping in Old Virginia published a recipe by Marion Cabell Tyree, calling for green tea to be boiled, then steeped throughout the day. Finally, fill the goblets with ice, put 2 teaspoonsful of granulated sugar in each, and pour the tea over the ice and sugar. And it also called for lemon.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, a few years later, the head of the Boston Cooking School, Mary Lincoln, printed her recipe for pre-sweetened iced tea, calling for cold tea to be poured over cracked ice, lemon, and 2 sugar cubes.
There we go.
And it's proving it wasn't just a sweet tea, wasn't just a Southern tradition.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But
wait,
I mean,
where was that?
Boston.
That's so
Boston.
Weird. That's so weird, though, because I'm sure that just a few decades ago, right? Or maybe not even.
Yeah.
Maybe not even a few. Maybe just like a couple or so. You could go up to like New England or, you know, the northern states.
Yeah.
And order a tea. You know, I'll have tea in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And they would bring you hot tea, like they do in Britain.
I mean,
like,
I imagine so, because, I mean, it's cold out. It's colder winters.
Not really
and
like
everything like that up on the northeast, yeah.
I'm sure, I can't remember. I'm sure somebody I know, like in real life, said that they tried ordering it, and they were just like, what? Iced tea, you know? Oh, I can't remember.
I mean, that would be strange. I mean, you know, because it's kind of like I associate, you know, because people always say, oh, iced tea, it's a southern beverage. You know, it's a southern thing.
Yeah.
You know, Georgia and the Carolinas and Texas and, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about it, isn't it? Alabama, maybe, and Florida, you know. It's kind of like all these kind of southern states that get hot in the summer and remain kind of hot most of the year.
Yeah.
It stands to reason that they're going to have an iced tea beverage. And it's very popular down here. It's like, you know, you see it in restaurants. Yeah. Along with the Coca-Cola and Pepsi and everything.
Oh,
you know, Dr. Pepper. It's like you got pictures of like...
Well, in Texas, they even go a step further and you can order sweet tea. And it's already sweet. I think
and that's
in some
another
of the
thing.
southern states
That's another
too.
thing they have, like, it's like, what do you call it? Like a preconception that when you order tea down here, it's always going to be sweet, and there's never going to be an unsweet version of it, and it's frowned upon.
Yeah. Who
Well, everyone in the US, I guess.
Oh.
I mean, you know, because in the UK, I mean, they don't really do too much of iced tea. Iced tea isn't really a thing. I've told that story of when we went to Liverpool and this guy from America ordered.
Oh yeah.
Iced tea.
I don't know if you've told the podcast.
I went up to and it was in a restaurant. It was just like a generic kind of like restaurant, you know, that served everything. And he goes, "Oh, can I get an iced tea?" And the guy looked at him like, okay, you know, he didn't say what's that. Yeah. He just kind of went okay, and I was kind of like and he walked off, and I told him he doesn't know what you mean. You're going to get a cup of hot tea. And so he got a cup of hot tea, and the guy brought out some ice.
A glass of ice. A
glass of ice to go with it.
Yeah.
No, it was like a bowl of ice to kind of like just go in, and it was like hot black tea with ice, and he says. And he was like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know, just to put the ice in and it would just melt instantly, you know? Yeah. And he was just like, you know, and it's just like, yeah, it's just like, we don't do that here, you know? Yeah. It's like iced tea. When I was a kid, Lipton used to sell like a carbonated version of it. Okay. And it was like quite popular.
They had bottled tea over here too, but it was not carbonated.
Yeah, they carbonated it in the UK for some reason, and then it just stopped. Yeah. They stopped selling it for whatever reason, and now it's kind of slowly creeping back in.
Is Lipton
Lipton's a British brand.
Is it British? Because I always think of it as being like an American.
It's pretty much been adopted by America because, there's British brands of tea that, if you say, oh, a Lipton tea,
yeah,
to someone in Britain, they're not going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's going to be usually Tetley, PG Tips, Yorkshire tea.
I mean, we have Tetley also.
Twinings,
But if you're going to make iced tea, I mean, it was always, for me anyway, or in my family, it was always Lipton. Lipton first and foremost.
Or Louisiane.
Louisiane. Yeah.
Louisiane.
Yeah, it's Luzianne.
Actually, it's a plug for your little free pantries.
Oh, yeah.
We just picked up one of them the other day, didn't we?
Yeah, my little free pantries. I invented them.
You invented them in 1904, remember?
No, I don't know if we've ever mentioned on the podcast about the little free pantries. I just became aware of them. The little free pantries. And we often have, like, stuff that we're going to end up not eating or, whatever. And you don't want to just throw it in the trash. I mean, luckily, we're part of our Buy Nothing group. This is totally off topic, but just
It's not. We're talking about tea.
Just a little aside here. Luckily, we're part of our Buy Nothing community. So,
yeah, we've talked about the Buy Nothing community on here.
Yeah, yeah. So we can easily find somebody who will take, said food, whatever it is that we've decided, you know what, we're not going to end up eating this actually before it expires, or, or we bought more than one of this and now we're sick of them or whatever,
Yeah.
And so you put a post in your Buy Nothing group and say, oh, I have this. Does anybody want it? And of course somebody does. And they'll come pick it up. But I recently found out that there's this thing called, I don't know if you guys have these little free libraries, like people have them in their front yards and they're just like, they're on a wood post and they're a little box and people put books in there. Maybe this is like in Austin. It's very popular in Austin.
I think it's a worldwide thing, but of course it's not too popular because,
Yeah.
It's kind of a niche type thing.
It's very, very popular in Austin. Like, if you're driving through a neighborhood, you're going to see multiple of them just in the one neighborhood. It's a box. People put it in their front yard. Usually it has some sort of door on it, obviously, to keep the elements away from the books. And people can come...
because there's only one element here, and that's the sun.
Occasionally it might rain, though, and you don't want the books to get wet. So they have a little door on them. There's no lock or anything. You usually just, maybe there might be a latch. You just open it up. You take whatever book you want, and that's it. I mean, you can leave a book if you want, but if you don't have a book to leave, you just take, this, I'm just looking at our bookshelf now. Outlander by Diana Gabaldon.
Outlander, yeah.
I've seen the show, but I haven't read the book yet. Oh, here it is. I'll just take it, And then, you can stop back by and leave other books that you're finished reading. Or I think I've even seen, when they were more popular, people leaving DVDs or magazines, like any kind of thing like that, And so along that same line, there is a thing called the Little Free Pantry, where basically it's the same idea.
Concept, yeah.
Yeah. It's a box on a post. You can design it however you want. You can put it in your front yard. There are some businesses that have them outside of them.
Yeah.
And again, they're just all over the city. And you take any unwanted food, unopened, of course. You're not going to, have eaten a half a bag of chips and go and stick them in there, because who wants to eat after you,
Yeah, I know.
And non-perishable stuff, because obviously in a city like Austin, it gets really hot, so you wouldn't want to leave, something chocolate or, something that's going to melt in there. Or get moldy on a hot day or whatever.
Just don't buy chocolate in Texas, ever.
So we were making a trip over there the other day to go leave some loaves of bread that we had to give.
Yeah.
And we were stocking the Little Free Pantry, and usually there's canned goods and stuff that we don't really
want.
need. Yeah, but like pinto beans and rice.
Who wants pinto beans, honestly?
We're usually good on that stuff. It's just like, yeah, we don't need any of this, But there happened to be a box of
family
size. And there's no sort of like limitation. There's no like
you can clear that place out.
This is only for, if you make over certain amount of money, you're not allowed to take from this, or whatever. It's just literally, if you need it or want it, take it. Leave what you can. Take what you need. That's the motto: take what you need, leave what you can. So usually
we left what we can.
Usually
took what we needed.
Usually we leave. We don't usually take. Actually, we never have taken. But there was a brand new box of Louisiana iced tea in there, and we go through tea like nobody's business. Like, usually in the winter, Dominic makes like, I don't know, we probably have like 3 cups of tea in the morning, like hot tea.
In the wintertime, yeah.
Maybe
which
another
lasts
one,
for about a week. Yeah.
Maybe another one before bed, even.
Yeah.
But in the summer, I can only manage like 1 cup of tea in the morning.
1 cup of tea in the morning works fine for me. It does me wonders.
And then it's like, it's 100 degrees the rest of the day. Like, do not give me a cup of hot tea.
Yeah.
Like, I will be unhappy. But we do go through a lot of iced tea, which is what...
Well, I've got one right now. I'm drinking iced tea right now. You are too.
Yeah, so do I. We do. We drink it all day long.
And I make it up. I just make it in the pitcher and stuff. And
that's a separate story. I'll get to that in a second.
Separate story.
But that's what kind of prompted this podcast, because it's like in Texas, iced tea is like, that's what gets you through your days. It's very like
sweet iced tea.
In my family, anyway, it always has been, because my grandma has always made tea, like, my whole life, my mom's whole life, And actually, for some reason, I mean, you think, oh, it's a pitcher of tea, like, how difficult is it to make, or, how many ways are there to make it, or whatever. But she was of that generation where, anybody who comes to the house is going to get something to drink, she's going to shove a drink in your hand.
Yeah.
So her thing was making iced tea, and everybody was always like, and it wasn't that fake kind of compliment, that people just go, oh, this sure is good, or whatever.
Sure is good.
People would ask her, will you make ask her the recipe, ask her, will you make a thing of tea? And it's just like, it's literally Lipton tea with sugar and lemon. Like, I do not understand.
As I remember, she'd boil the bags in the saucepan in the water.
Dominic kind of studied. This is what I was going to say earlier. He's taken over making pictures of iced tea duties, because he sort of studied the way she made it, and he's quite good at it, and he can replicate it quite well. So
I mean, I do it the cheap way. So I boil the kettle.
Yeah.
And I pour it into the pitcher first, and then I add the tea bags, because tea bags over here, they don't stand up to like. And I remember that being a complaint of her too. It's like, oh, the tea bag split and the tea gets everywhere, and in the thing, because it can't handle the heat.
Yeah.
Of the water. You know.
Her way of making tea, you guys. Let me know if any of you make tea this way, or know someone who makes it this way, or have made it this way. Because we did not have a kettle. I did not have a kettle, and my grandma especially did not have a kettle before Dominic got here that I can think of. Maybe she had one when I was really little. I don't know. But she always boiled the water in a saucepan on the stovetop
with the tea in it.
Put the tea bags in it and boil the water like that. And then she would let it cool down, though, and you don't do that. It obviously doesn't make really any difference, but
she'd let it cool down before she added it. Yeah, no, I don't let it cool down because I want the sugar to dissolve.
I hope this isn't so boring. We're just like literally talking about how we make a pitcher of iced tea.
We're talking about our personal iced tea origins here.
This is riveting. I'm telling you.
People love this stuff. People tune in from all over the world to hear us talk about iced tea.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Yes. Tell us your tea making techniques, Dominic.
What I usually do is I boil the kettle.
Yeah.
And I put the water in first.
Yeah.
Because when I was pouring it over the bags, it was splitting and going everywhere, and it was terrible. You had tea leaves in your mouth and everything. And it's just like, oh. I may as well have used loose leaf tea,
Yeah.
So what I decided to do was just pour it in when it was boiling hot, then stick the bags in and let them infuse, let them steep.
Yeah. Like you would making a hot cup of tea.
Hot cup of tea, about 5-10 minutes, whatever.
Oh, remind me to ask you something in a minute after you finish this story.
Okay. And so I'd let that do, and then, I get the spoon and I'd, squeeze all the tea juice out.
Yeah.
Discard them, and then I'd add the sugar because it was still hot.
Mm-hmm.
So add the sugar.
Yeah.
And let it, then I'd add a bit of lemon. Sometimes I don't really personally care that much if you add lemon or not.
I do.
And what I do want is the strength. So I use quite a lot of tea bags.
Yeah.
To get it quite black,
Yeah.
Because sometimes, some people just use like 1 or 2 for a huge pitcher and it's very, very weak.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm just drinking.
Well, you were talking about the history of iced tea and it being green tea. And I don't mind
green tea. Nah.
But my grandma went through a phase for a while where she was making, because green tea is better for you, obviously. It has more health benefits. She was making like, I'm just going to make green tea.
Yeah,
like
forever.
we're just having green tea, and it's just so weak. Like it's just
weak and it's bland.
It doesn't have as much flavor, and then you add like lemon to it, and I just don't know. It almost doesn't even really taste like tea after.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I mean, that's my personal 2 cents anyway.
But anyway,
yeah.
I add the sugar and I stir it up, and then I add the cold water to it.
Yeah.
And the lemon, and a squeeze of lemon, whatever.
Yeah.
And add the cold water to it, and then I stick it in the fridge. Mm-hmm. It's still warm, because cold water here is it's never cold in summer, even, I don't add ice to it or anything like that until we're ready to pour it,
Yeah.
So I've got to let it cool down in the fridge,
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I make it. With your grandmother, she let it all cool down. And sometimes the sugar wouldn't dissolve in there, and she'd have to keep doing it, and stirring.
Well, she did do it a little bit different from you, because I think she would do the water and lemon and sugar and make a little bit of like a lemonade, and then add the tea to it. Taste it, mix, add a little bit more sugar. It was like a little bit like the Arnold
Palmer half and half type thing sometimes.
Yeah, she did put quite a lot of lemon in. My other grandmother, contrastly, didn't put lemon in, and it was fine too. It was like the standard kind of sweet tea that you get when you go to a restaurant.
Yeah, because they don't put lemon in
it. No. They'll serve like a wedge of lemon on the side of the glass, depending on where you are. Like sometimes, other times just no lemon whatsoever. The thing I was going to ask you, or were you finished?
I'm finished, yeah. Okay. So ask away.
Just to go back to your tea requests, your restaurant tea request in Liverpool, not yours, but the guy you were with. I don't think I've ever ordered tea at all from when we've been out in Britain.
No, because I've probably told you not to.
When they not I don't mean iced tea. I just mean I don't think I've even ordered like a cup of tea that I can remember.
To me, right, people ordering a cup of tea in like a restaurant or something like that.
Yeah.
They're getting up there in age,
It's something older people do.
It's something older people do, it's like they go to a cafe. If we went to a cafe, maybe I'd order a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, that was Britain's culture. There was cafe culture all the time,
Yeah.
It's like connected to my gran would she'd go shopping and she'd go, let's go have a sit down and have a cup of tea in the cafe.
Yeah.
Which was usually attached to the supermarket or whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That's kind of gone now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, because I haven't been in Britain for years, but when I was, as I was getting into my late teens, still living there, I found myself not really going to cafes too much, you know.
Yeah. A cafe, like, what is a cafe to you? Like,
I mean, it's a place that serves tea and coffee and an all-day breakfast, you know.
Okay, so like what we would call a diner?
Like, kind of like a diner, yeah.
Okay.
Except it didn't really serve too much in the way of sweet desserts and pies and whatever that you get in...
To me, I guess a cafe is like... I guess so. I guess sort of similar. Like, I'm going to go there and get a sandwich. Like, kind of like the place you and I went to in Paris, where I got the...
Yeah.
Where I got the...
That was a cafe. That was a French cafe.
Yeah.
That was the original cafe.
Yeah. Okay, but just before I forget, to go back. Okay, so if you order... And now this is not an iced tea question, but if you order a hot tea in Britain... Does it come with milk?
They give you...
Or do they bring you... Like, how do they serve it to you?
It depends, obviously, but sometimes they'll give you a cup, they'll give you the hot water and the tea bag, or they'll bring you just a teapot full of, like, hot black tea and some little sachets of milk and sugar.
So they're not serving you. So when your friend in Liverpool ordered it, when your friend in Liverpool, because what I'm imagining, your friend in Liverpool orders the tea, the iced tea, and I'm envisioning them bringing him a cup of like tea with milk in it already, and then the thing of ice.
No, they brought milk out too.
Oh, okay.
But it was actually, I think they brought him the cup. They brought him all the accoutrements. They brought him the sugar, and the tea that was already pre-steeped in the little teapot. Yeah. It usually comes in these like stainless steel grey little pots. Yeah. You know?
I think that's how it comes over here too, yeah.
Yeah, you know. And so they pour it in there and he pours it in there and he's just like, okay, yeah. And just pour him a bowl of ice to go with it. It was just like, that's it, you know. I mean, maybe these days, I mean, that was 12 years ago now. Yeah. Maybe these days they're going to have...
they're going to know a bit more what...
Yeah. If you say iced tea, they go, oh, yeah, we do that. Yeah. But I don't think they'll have, like...
But probably not, because British restaurants don't really serve ice in their drinks.
No, it's only a couple of
I don't know if we've ever mentioned that on the podcast. If you've never been to Britain, when you order a drink... Like, it's not going to have any ice in it.
It's going to be cold already, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be room temperature or anything, but, you know.
Yeah, I can't remember, like, I'm pretty sure I just drank water most of the time when we went out. I can't remember whether it had ice in it or not.
Yeah, you used to get fizzy water.
No, I would get tap water because they would try to bring.
Yeah.
They tried to bring me.
Yeah, I mean they charge for everything. You know, it's like this is not like over here, and I think that's kind of changing. Yeah. After the pandemic, it's kind of changing now.
Oh yeah.
Like over here, I see like there's less and less free bread and less free chips and salsa, you know? Yeah. It's kind of like becoming like, you're going to have to pay for all this now. It's like, gone are the days of, whoa, everything is free and everything, you know?
Do you have anything in your notes or did you come across sun tea?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay, so tell me about that.
Well, sun tea, because that's what they used to think that...
Well, a neighbor
used to think that she made the best sun tea about your grandmother. Yeah. Made the best sun tea. And you're just like, what are they talking about? She never made sun tea ever.
Yeah. And you were like, what are you talking about? What is sun tea?
Is that a brand? It's like what? And you were like, no, it's sun tea. It's tea made by the sun. Yeah. And I was like...
It's a way of making tea. I've never had it. I've never had sun tea. But yeah, this neighbor that my grandmother lived next door to for years and years, apparently... thought that what made her tea was so good was that it was sun tea, which is something different. And I guess Dominic will tell us about it now because I don't really know.
Sun tea, yeah. It's iced tea that can be brewed by placing the tea bags or loose leaf in a large glass container with water and leaving the container in the sun for hours.
Okay, yeah.
This often results in a smoother flavour. An advantage is that sun tea does not require using electricity or burning fuel, thus saving energy. Sun tea is sometimes served with syrup or lemon. And the temperature of the tea brewed in this manner is never heated high enough to kill any bacteria.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does that not,
leaving the
grow
water potentially
bacteria?
unsafe to drink.
Ugh.
The tea should be discarded if it appears thick, syrupy, or has rope-like strands in it. Though it may be hazardous even without such indicators.
Pretty sure. Haven't you and I drank some tea that had rope-like strands?
Yes, we have. We bought tea, and I think it was from Walmart.
I think so.
It was like a jug of tea, like that pre-made stuff.
Yeah.
Red Diamond or whatever it was, And I think it was past, to be fair to them, it was past expiration.
Yeah.
I think it was on clearance or something, and we grabbed it, and it was just coming up, and I was like, what is all this kind of like... And I think it was like just high fructose corn syrup in it.
I had never seen that before, so I was just like, I don't know. I mean, but apparently I guess that was
what they're talking about.
Bacteria or mold or something?
It could have been like loose leaf with the high fruit, because I think they don't use sugar. They don't use real sugar in anything over here. It's because it's cheaper to use the sweetened high fructose corn syrup. So I'm sure there was corn syrup in that tea.
You think?
Yes, I'm absolutely. It's and that's why it just wrapped itself around the tea leaves and made these globules, like little seaweed.
Oh God, it was freaking horrendous.
It was horrendous. I was like,
it didn't affect the taste.
And I was like, I don't even want to know how they made this tea. Did it just get squirted out of a factory tube or something? And I was just like, where did this come from? Was there even a tea plant involved in this? Or have you just dyed this, is it just flavoured water?
Like
and
a
caramel
colour.
colour. I mean, I always use black tea. Black tea, that is it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, make some hibiscus, Hibiscus isn't bad, but it's like, I want black tea. If I want iced tea, I want black tea.
I think fresh made, homemade iced tea, the first time you ever had it was when I came to Britain and made it in the summertime one time, wasn't it? Yeah.
And also, people are thinking, oh, well, you need these big family bags. Those are great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we might take a few when we go back to the UK.
Yeah.
Unless Tetley have started making... Because I think over here they do market some iced tea brands.
Does Tetley make family bags over here?
I think so. I think they do. But I don't think they do in the UK because, there's not much call for it. It's not very popular as a beverage. Whereas over here, it's like people drink it all the time.
You don't really need it.
People are going to drink.
It's cold outside, so
it's like if they're going to get a soft drink, it's going to be Coke, Pepsi, whatever.
You drink, to me, the tea with the lemon in it. It's just like it's so refreshing on a really hot day.
I've started there's this restaurant called Mandela's that have sweet tea, unsweet tea, and they have fresh lemonade. And so I've started, when we go there...
The fresh lemonade is so good, you guys. If you have a Mandela's... I think it's a chain. If you have a Mandela's anywhere around you, go there as quickly as possible.
It's like an Italian cafe place.
Oh, yeah.
And they've got this fresh lemonade, so I put some... I do an Arnold Palmer. And... I'm sure he wasn't the first one to invent the concoction of iced tea and lemonade, but he popularized it.
I don't know, what is the difference? What's the difference between, iced tea with lemon or Arnold Palmer?
Well, he likes, his recipe was 2 parts unsweet iced tea to 1 part lemonade. Yeah. And that was it.
Yeah.
But it's like the lemonade is like the juice, isn't it, with the sugar and the water in it,
But how is that different from just squeezing some lemon juice into your tea?
Well, lemon juice is just the lemon juice. It's very tart.
Okay.
It's like, what's the difference between lemonade and lemon water? The sugar.
I guess. But you put sugar in the tea anyway.
Well, it depends if you don't have if you like unsweet tea.
Yeah.
I mean, I always go overboard with mine. I get sweet tea and lemonade, and it's very sweet. It's like, ooh, so
you make our tea at home a little bit sweet.
I do,
as well.
I do. Ba-do.
Sometimes I drink it, you guys. Not to complain, because obviously he's the one making it, but sometimes I take a drink and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, no, sometimes I do too, but I'm just like, I force myself through it. I mean, it's just like, you do like sweet tea.
I just suffer right
like
through
this, like this batch, this pitcher I made now. It's quite sweet.
Yeah. And I do like a lot more. That's weird though, because
But
I like a lot
I
more
put, like-
lemon in it than you do, but yet you love Arnold Palmer's when we go out.
Because that's lemon, sugar, and water. There's a lot of sugar in lemonade, in homemade lemonade.
Yeah, but it's
There's a
but
dump
it's like
load of sugar in
it's
sweet
like a very
tea.
lemony taste though, too. Like
They
obviously.
get, because it's freshly made lemonade. There's nothing beats it.
No, I do love that.
You squeeze lemons, you squeeze it all in there, and you mix it with the water, and then you put sugar in, and it's the best thing.
Yeah.
Old-fashioned cloudy lemonade, as they call it in the UK, because we've got fizzy lemonade.
Yeah.
Which is basically like Sprite. It's clear, and you were weirded out by that.
I was like, how is this lemon? This is not lemonade. Like, this is carbonated lemon water.
And it was lovely, wasn't it?
No, because to me, lemonade is what you call cloudy
it's
lemonade.
It's not fizzy either.
Yeah.
Because they do make it fizzy.
It's not fizzy, and it's got the pulp in it. I do like, I don't know. I'm like weird like that, I guess, because I know a lot of people don't like the pulp. And in Britain, they call it bits, don't they?
Juicy bits.
They don't like the bits in it. I do. I like it.
You go for orange juice in the thing, and there's like no pulp or some pulp.
Yeah.
And it's like
I'm all about the pulp.
In the UK, it's like it's on the packaging. It's got orange juice with bits in.
Yeah.
The juicy bits.
Yes.
Your juicy bits.
Oh my god, yes. This is so funny. Yeah, I like pulp. I like a lot of lemon in my sweet tea. I can drink it sweet. I can drink it sweet with no lemon, and I can drink it unsweet though. I mean, I just like iced tea, period.
Yeah.
And it's just like when it's so hot, like 100 degrees outside, just a cold glass of iced tea with a lot of ice. I know in Britain they find that weird as well, too. Like,
ice it all up.
Why you put so much ice in your drinks?
Well, because it does kind of like affect the volume of the liquid.
Well, yeah, you don't get as much drink, but my God, you get to suck on the ice and it tastes like the drink and it's just cool and it's so hot outside.
I mean, yeah, that's why I always ask easy on the ice or no ice at all when I go to like a fast food place to get a drink. Because you're only going to get like a little bit, you suck that and it's gone. It's like a large drink and it's just ice.
Yeah.
The ice melt.
Yes. Yeah. No, if you're paying for it and you don't get free refills, when you're at a restaurant or whatever, definitely ask for no ice because you're just screwing yourself out of
yes. Unfortunately you are.
Oh my gosh. All right, do you have anything else?
I think that's it. I think we're all talked out. We're all iced tea'd out.
Yeah, I can't believe we did an entire podcast about
We
iced
did
tea.
it. We did it. And you enjoyed it too, didn't you?
But it's just like iced tea.
Iced tea.
Go on a picnic with a lovely canister of iced tea.
A picture of iced tea and it looks all nice.
Yeah.
Nice and iced.
This is so cool and refreshing. Let us know if you drink iced tea, if you're a fan of iced tea and how you drink it.
I think that would be something I'd miss getting at restaurants if we moved back to the UK.
Oh yeah.
Is iced tea,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I didn't mean to slag off sun tea if anybody listening is a fan of sun tea, because I know that in the deep south particularly, that's I think that's more popular maybe even than iced tea from
boiled water.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't get to boiling point.
Because I am kind of curious to drink it, but at the same time I have always thought, well, how is that
how is it
safe to drink? Yeah, how does bacteria not grow? But apparently, according to your information, bacteria can quite easily grow. I mean, you're leaving it in the sun.
And it's not heated high enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is it's like the dry tea leaves, they're like any other kind of herb or anything, right?
Yeah.
They can have potentially bacteria like listeria or salmonella or anything else if they weren't really clean, cleaned really well or whatever before they were dried. So cooking them is always like, better, safer, just in case.
Just boil them up.
But yeah, let us know if
Have a brew.
Let us know if you're a fan of sun tea, if you're a fan of sweet tea. How do you take your sweet tea? Do you like Arnold Palmer's, like Dominic? Or do you just like it straight sweet? Or do you like it not sweet at all? Because there are some people who don't like their tea sweetened, like, are hardcore about it. Like, no sugar in mine. My stepdad used to be like that. He was always like, yeah, tea with no sugar, no sugar. No. And then you drink it. Oh, it's got sugar. Take it away. Yeah. It does have quite a different flavor without the sugar. It tastes almost like a different drink, really.
Yeah.
But yeah. I know we went on about the little free pantry and the little free library for a while. Let us know if you were familiar with those things, if you participate in either of those things, either way. Because I just think people helping people and not relying on like the government or whatever.
Not relying on the government to make you iced tea.
People helping their own people, communities. I just think it's just so awesome, the stuff that people come up with. I just love it.
I love it.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, we really appreciate your support. A special thank you to our patrons for sticking with us.
Oh, yeah.
We really appreciate your support
as
well.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
And be sure to follow us on social media. We are at TButty, TEABUTTY, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we will talk to you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.